Ever been on a job before sunrise, generators running, diesel in the air, and concrete trucks starting to stack up? And you're thinking, do we order the right mud? Is this mix going to hold up? Did I ask all the right questions in the pre-pour meeting? And if this thing goes sideways, am I going to know what to do? That's why we built Concrete Logic Academy. It's for concrete people who want to get better at the work, not theory, not recycled conference slides, stuff you can actually use on the job. Go to concreteschool.co and get free access while it's open. Again, that's concreteschool.co.
What's the most used man-made material on Earth? I'll give you the answer. Concrete. This is the Concrete Logic Podcast. Have you ever stopped to think about the sidewalks, driveways, bridges, or the buildings around you? They're all made from concrete. So why don't we discuss it more? In each episode of Concrete Logic, we'll explore a unique concrete-related topic with the help of industry professionals shaping the trade's future. We'll talk with suppliers, contractors, architects, engineers, specialists, and even proponents of competing materials. We'll get their views on concrete and their visions for its future. So get ready to mix things up with Concrete Logic, where we turn the spotlight on the material that's everywhere but often overlooked. This is the Concrete Logic Podcast. And now, here's your host, Seth Tandit.
And welcome to another episode of the Concrete Logic Podcast. And today I have Concrete Adamus. Is that what that says? Concrete
Adamus.
Adamus.
Kind of like Nostradamus. I'm just reading tea leaves here, buddy.
Uh-huh.
Seeing the future.
I gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
That's Dr. Belkowitz, if you don't recognize his voice, but he's back with us today. And he brought something to me that we're going to talk about today is kind of rethinking 100-year design life and maybe thinking about maybe shortening that up because, in 100 years, it's hard to plan what will be going on. And for instance, today we're going to talk about Hoboken, New Jersey, right? That's what we're going to talk. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a good example today. So stick with us. We're gonna talk about that today. Before we get started, like I always do on every episode, remind you how you can support the show. A couple things you can do. First, if you enjoyed the show, you learned something from it, please share it with a colleague or a coworker. That helps out tremendously. And then the next thing you can do is if you go to the concretelogicpodcast.com website, there's a couple ways you can get a hold of me. There's up at the top, there's a menu selection that says Ask Seth. Click on that. And one of those email forms pops up and you can fill that out. And what we're looking for is a topic or guest suggestion. Please reach out. Let us know what you want to, or who you want to hear from, or what topics you want to learn about. That is also a great help. That way we're putting out episodes that you actually want to hear. And then the next way you can get a hold of me on the same webpage, concretelogicpodcast.com. There's a little microphone on the bottom right-hand side. You can click on that, and that will let you leave me a voicemail. Same thing, looking for topic and guest suggestions. The next way you can support the show is on the homepage. Again, if you get some value out of the show, and you want to send some value back, you can do that through a donation. There's a blue button in the right-hand side. I think when you hear this, it'll actually say support. If you click on that, it goes to a PayPal page, and you can donate any amount. And today, I want to thank Tom Cummings. He donated $25. Tom, appreciate that. He's a longtime supporter. He goes back almost to the beginning of the podcast. So, Tom, thank you. I appreciate that. And then the last way is if you enjoy these topics and you want to learn more and kind of absorb these topics even more, you need to go to concretelogicacademy.com or go to concreteschool.co. There's two ways to get there. And we have the topics on the Academy platform. In addition to that, we also have quizzes that will quiz you on the topics that are in there. And there's 25 or 26 courses in there right now. There's articles, there's white papers, There's we post on there just like you would on LinkedIn. So if you got a question or anything, you can post on there. Right now, I think we're floating around 60 members, so it's growing.
Congrats.
Yeah, tremendously. So please join. There's different memberships and things on there. They give you access to all the courses and things like that. But if you want to get in there for free for a limited time, just go to concreteschool.c.
Don't forget to check out our LinkedIn channel or your LinkedIn channel too.
Yeah.
There's some great information from the Academy. And for those of you who are professional engineers, you have until next month to get all your PE credit in. And I don't remember if it's the middle or the end. And if you don't get it in time, you'll have to be subject to a board review and then some stupid fines. Concrete Logic Academy has some great courses for your CEUs, PDHs, whatever the hell they're called. I use them as well as some of my colleagues. So sorry for stealing the mic there.
No, you're good. I appreciate that. Yeah. So, and we track all those PDHs for you on the platform. So if you get, did they audit you or something? They say, hey, did you really take these classes? Yeah. So we would have record of all that, of you listening to those topics and taking those quizzes. So,
well, they want to see the certificates, and Seth not only sends you the certificate, and when Whitney got it in the mail, she was so happy to give me the certificate. Seth laminates them for you. So that, I mean, you got to keep it. It goes from file to freaking file. But yeah, you send them pictures. I mean, you only have to do it like every 2 years, but yeah, you've got to send them proof. So the certificates that you sent, the blue and white ones, are freaking great, man. Great job.
Yep. Great job. Cool. All right. Well, let's get to the topic at hand. So we'll what we want to do is, Dr. Jon, if you want to give us background on this, but we're rethinking the 100-year design. So civil engineers are taught to design concrete for 75 to 100 years, and Dr. Jon is here today to have us kind of rethink that and see if that's maybe the best thing.
I don't know. I have a very cynical view. Daniel calls me the fatalist of our group, right? And
We're
just
talking
got
about
this.
Dan McCoy.
Daniel Alexis McCoy.
Uh-huh.
It's the 100-year design life, the way that I think it was pushed was based off of certain software packages that academics had created through the Federal Highway Association. And if they plug and chug certain amount of numbers in, it'll tell you if that mixed design for your specific region and the use based off of these tests is going to meet a certain design life. And that happened like in the early 2000s, right? Now, what we're finding is that a lot of the civil infrastructure is failing not at 100 years, but at 20 years. So that was the motivation behind this. And the funny part about it is, and I had ChatGPT help me out with the saying, I call her Sasha Juliet. I had her put together, I asked her to put, can you create a cynical way or the cynical takeaway that engineers use the 100-year design life? So I didn't write this, Sasha did, but you remember, she learns from me. So it's, Jon Belkowitz tone of voice. Engineers love a 100-year design life because by the time the design no longer works, everyone who stamped it has retired, is unreachable, or dust in the project archive. How poetic, right? It's so lovely.
Uh-huh.
But I don't like the 100-year design life, and it has nothing to do if the concrete fails, because the argument can be made, well, what happens, Jon, if the concrete was made so well it lasts 100 years? Okay, great. I still don't like it, and I use the Hoboken, New Jersey example as a case study. So before I go any further, I just wanted to highlight why I don't like it. Is that okay?
Yeah, do it.
I don't like designing for time. I like designing for use and maintenance cycles, right? When we design in 1922 for what's going to happen in 2022, not all of us are as good as I am at reading the tea leaf, as my nickname has been Concrete Adamus. We don't know what's going to happen in 2022. Hoboken really came to a head back in 1922 with the culmination of the Lackawanna train station. It was the largest train station. I believe it was the first major train station in the United States, and it's gorgeous. Tiffany windows, da 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 da. It was mothballed, I want to say sometime after World War II. I mean, gorgeous. They're bringing it back to life because we need more infrastructure in Hoboken. We got to use what land is available. But bear in mind, all of this was designed in 1922 with no idea what was going to happen in 2022. And yes, I use Sasha Juliet or Chat GPT, and Seth and I were talking about how AI it looks, but holy moly guacamole, if this is not a great representation of one of the main streets. Now, the problem is when you design something that has 100-year gap, you commit yourself to that infrastructure. What you're saying is, I've made a decision here in 1922 that people in 2000 have to use, definitely have to use, 1980, 1990, they have to use it. 2022, they can make the decision to get rid of it. But bear in mind, something that you put in place for 100 years, it's really hard to get rid of it. It's really hard to build on top of it when we already have building on top of it for the last 100 years. So my problem is we can't predict the future. And I've got case studies that show things that have been built for 100 years that only last 5, 10, 20 years, what happens. But what I would rather do is design for a 20-year decision. Does that make sense before I go any further?
Yeah, I think I kind of think we already do that. I mean, I think and this is I'm going to push back on you a little bit here.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think in a way we say one thing, but we really do another. So we say we're going to design for a long period of time, but in reality, maybe that 20-year version seems a little short. But I think we design so we know that at some point we're going to have to tear it down and put it back up. For instance, say a bridge that goes over a body of water, and they put it at a certain height, and then all of a sudden we decide that, hey, the water's getting really close to the bottom of that bridge, and we need to make that bridge taller. So now we're going to rip it all down and make it taller. So I think we say one thing, but we do another. But I don't know. I'm curious to hear more about Hoboken. I'm not familiar with Hoboken, so
sure.
Please.
Sure. Can you pull some pictures of Hoboken up that are real pictures? And I would look at, Hoboken and 10th, or, the train station there. There's a bar called Sully's. That's a good place to look to. Parking in Hoboken. But while you're talking about that, let's go to a prime example here in Indiana. Indiana, we are big on 50-year design life. It's not 100, John. It's only 50. Same thing. 50, 100-year. A lot of our bridges are failing. When I say bridges, it's not the entire bridge. It's part of the infrastructure. Whether it's the deck, it's the columns, it's the rails, it's failing. It's going into maintenance cycle, because I think that's what we're confusing. Is there's preventative maintenance cycles, and as it turns out, Virginia Department of Transportation, and folks, the reason why we talk about DOTs, it's a similar reason why we talk about navies in history. As it turns out, the Department of Transportations record a lot of history, and they keep a lot of history about their infrastructure, whether it's the mixed designs, the failures, the successes. So that's why we talk about the DOT in a similar way that historians talk about the Navy, because navies used to keep and still do keep great freaking records. There's a difference between maintenance cycle and design life. The last set of conversations that I was out last summer with different folks from the House of Representatives here in Indiana, it was more about, can we make this last to 30 years? It wasn't a discussion about 50 years anymore. because the concrete was in such a failed state. And the engineer of record said, hey, man, I can guarantee 10 more years. And the House of Reps said, but how about 30 years? I can only guarantee you 10 more years. So you're right. I don't think the 50-year design life is talked about anymore. And that's not because people don't want to. I think they still want to design for 50 years. That's just not a concern anymore. So you're right, but I think you're right for other reasons, not because we just don't care about the 100-year design life anymore. I think it's because we have to care about other things. Look, I'm pushing back.
Good job. So, you're. I think what we were saying, or what you were saying, is that you want to design for a 20-year life with zero maintenance.
Zero
maintenance.
Which I think is harder than 100-year design.
I would think so too. So what does that look like?
Accountability, responsibility, more expensive concrete, maintenance package, quality management system that you can put sensors in there. I freaking love sensors. I think they're used the wrong way. We use maturity sensors. I never understood maturity sensors. Like, if anything, use a temperature sensor or use the my favorite maturity sensor was the Telerock. I still have one of the whole systems with the gauges, but I think it's more using sensors, big data, and wireless communication to create maintenance systems that look at our bridges. But the design criteria should be more performance, and it should be the performance should be based on what are the things that we care about to last that 20-year design cycle. And it's not necessarily compressive strength or a flexural beam, right? It's here in Indiana, freezing and thawing and de-icing salts. It's abrasion resistance under de-icing salts and brines. It's, wetting and drying cycles. It's alkali-silic reactivity now. There's a lot more things outside of compressive strength, which is the most forgiving of concrete tests, whether you're taking a cylinder or a core. But I think design criteria needs to change to reflect what we care about. And if we shorten that I care about it life cycle to 20 years, that, hey, I put a bridge in that has 100% or a pavement. There's something called the PCI. I often confused it with the PVI. But the PCI is the Pavement Condition Index. When I put it in on day one, it has a 100% value. As it deteriorates over time, that percentage decreases. When I hit I think it's the 60% of the original pavement condition, I have to make a decision to repair it or replace it. Now, if I decide to do nothing and I allow that PCI to go from 60% to 40%, every $1 that I would have spent at 60%, now I have to spend $4. And that's just because now I'm dealing with a shittier concrete and I have to do more to either rip and replace it or rehabilitate it and repair it. So again, I understand we want these structures to be in place like the Romans, but bear in mind, the reason why Roman concrete had lasted so long is it's in Rome, where it's 70 to 77 degrees, 365 days out of the year. You have an earthquake once every 2,500 years. If you put that same concrete in Hoboken, New Jersey, or Alexandria, Virginia, it wouldn't last one season.
Yeah.
Especially with the mag chloride. Like, holy shit. So yeah, I think holding the engineer accountable within a 20-year lifespan, that means they have to evaluate it every couple of years, at least towards the end of that life cycle, if not during the whole life cycle. And why not? They live there. They should be driving over. And by the way, for people who don't know what to do with their lives, for occupation, there are these amazing free programs through the Federal Highway Association that are for free that teach you and qualify you to become a bridge inspector. a tunnel inspector, an aggregate inspector, and they're all free. Unless you want to go to the advanced stages, and then they're like $1,000 each. But at that point, you should be making money. But those jobs are aplenty. Sorry, that was a tangent.
It was. But that's good career advice for someone.
I'm getting it just because I want to be a bridge inspector. I want to understand there are bridges out here in the state of Indiana that are 1.5 years old that have recently been inspected by the feds, and they've been designated as like 26-year-old bridges. How do you... Like, okay, it's not that I don't believe it, but I don't believe it. And I want to learn the technique that they're using to justify that. And then what the heck are going on with our bridges that are 1.5 years, 2 years old?
Mm-hmm. Well, let's
Hey, but
stick
don't
with
worry, they're going to last 100 years.
Right. Trying to find good pictures of
Hoboken? I don't know if you're ever going to find that. I wasn't a fan of Hoboken.
Here.
I mean, this really is a good representation of Hoboken.
Yeah. Here, I can show you a new.
I was only there for 3 years. Whitney went to school there. We both went to school at Stevens.
You see that?
Parking was horrendous. Pizza was amazing. Well, yeah.
You gotta love.
You gotta love New York Times.
Yeah, that's what I talk about tangents. That's one thing that drives me absolutely nuts is when someone puts a link on LinkedIn or a newsletter or something, and you click on it and it's got a paywall, and you're like, okay.
Here you go. Here's a good picture. Open in a new tab. Okay. This is probably the cleanest I've ever seen it. Oh, here we go. There we go. Sorry. So this is right where you make that left-hand turn. That left-hand turn where that white bus is. Can I zoom in on that? Where that white bus is, that is the turn that you make to go into Hoboken.
Okay.
So there's only one way of really getting into Hoboken, and it's right before you go into the Holland Tunnel. You make a series of left-hand turns, and then you come down this road, and you're riding right along the Hudson. And you can see there's all this infrastructure on the left for, these bicycles. Behind that is like bus stop. There's a train station. Well, that left-hand turn that you make, that takes you into the city proper, the town of Hoboken proper. That's the only fucking way of getting in there. And in the morning, you see, what is it? 3 lanes? That extreme left lane that we're looking at is the bus lane. So you can't really use that lane, right? But in the morning, so you only have 2 lanes. And on the right-hand side that we're looking at is a bunch of fucking stores. People just park there. So you only have 1 lane to go through. And you have to make a left. And then what happens is this bus station or this train station over here, everybody walks. And yeah, you have crosswalks. Nobody fucking uses them. Right? And it's not like you have room or infrastructure in place to build a walking bridge. Right? See, that would be one of the ideas. Is right, okay, how do we reduce the number of people? Because even when you have a green light, oh, we have lights here, John, that controls everything. No, it does. Sorry. No, it doesn't, because people do what the heck they want. So put a walking bridge in place. But remember, this is Hoboken. Anytime we've tried to build on top of the existing infrastructure, something has fallen into the Hudson. Whether it was part of a soccer field, part of a parking lot, or part of Main Street between 2 huge condominiums, the infrastructure fell apart underneath and it fell into body of water. So it's very hard building on top of Hoboken these days. So instead of optimizing this infrastructure, because it was built 100 years ago, meaning I only needed 1.5 lanes, right? I have a residence here. I have public transportation. I don't need that much room. It's not like I'm going to have, 100,000, 200,000 people coming into Hoboken every day. It's 1922.
Yeah. Do you know anything about the terminal that they're working on?
The Lackawanna train station?
No. Here, I'll show you this one.
Gosh, so where is that? Is that...
Here, I'll show you. Look at that. Does that tell you where it is?
Hoboken Rail Yard. Okay, great. I mean, I guess that's the only room you have left. Let me zoom in on that. Don't do anything here. New Jersey Transit long slip rail project. So that's something that they've already had that they're just reconfiguring. But that was infrastructure that they had to build on top of the water. Now you go see, look at that Hoboken bus depot and the Hoboken ferry terminal, right? And then you go to the left of that, Observer Highway, Newark Street. That's the 100-year infrastructure. That's the start of it. Like the only way that they can build in Hoboken is building out. Like there's also a walkway that they built, that waterfront walkway. That land didn't exist. They built into the water. They drove piles in, they dropped rocks, whatever the hell it was, but they built into the water. So that's what I'm saying is this is what happens when you design for 100 years. Like you can't build in Hoboken, or it's very hard to build in. This is all on the outsides of it. Like, and great, this is beautiful. Can you look up the Lackawanna train station? It's Lackawanna, Lakawana. Spells like it sounds. Yeah, that's on the outskirts of Hoboken. That's not in Hoboken. So I meant like in the proper of Hoboken. And what I love about Lackawanna, Lakawana, such a great name. What I love about Lackawanna is the history of it. And it's not just, the poshy history. Like there are Tiffany windows, but I want to say it was during World War I. They painted them black because they were, was it World War I or World War II? They painted them black because, the light was coming through and this is right on the coast. They were afraid of being bombed. And I have pictures somewhere on my computer that, let me see. One of my students, was doing an internship for the company that was preserving it and opening it back up. And we got to walk through major sections that, the windows were still painted black. It was just absolutely beautiful. I mean, and then there were some windows that they already had cleaned up. Did you find anything?
Yeah, there's all kinds of
Lackawanna. Finding any pictures on my.
Jeez. There's so. Anyways.
Well, I mean, it's a case study. There are so many of them, around the United States where, hey, we've tried to build for 100 years and we didn't call it right.
Yeah.
We made the mistake.
Yeah, that's tough. It's tough to think 100 years out. We can't even think a year out. How do you expect us to think 100 years out?
Well, you gave me the greatest advice. Think in tens.
Yeah.
Right? 10 seconds, 10 minutes, 10 days, 10 weeks, 10 months, 10 years. And if they all don't check out, maybe you should make a different decision.
Yeah. Well, at least if they don't check out on the back end, right? So 10 years from now, it doesn't sound like a good decision, should probably not make that one.
How do I make that decision for 100 years?
Yeah, it's hard. That's tough. That's tough for civil engineers out there.
But they do it.
Yeah.
By the way, and I just wanted to share this because it is so amazing. Here is that website that is free courses. And look, I've got one in my cart, but they teach you how to do inspection. And they give you and I'm looking for the bridge. So this is for, what is that, for diamond grinding? There's one for if you just do inspection. Like all of these, they're all free. Like, and they're amazing. And some of them are in person and some of them are not. Look at that. I love these things. And they're free.
What's the website again? Say that website. So people listening.
Federal Highway Association. Sorry. Here, it's National Highway Institute, NHI. So it's Federal Highway Association, NHI. So FHWA, NHI. .geniusis.com. Oh, fuck. I'm sorry. That's what it is, though. That's what it is. Well, of course.
Just Google. Right. How'd you find it again?
Yeah, free courses through the feds for inspection.
Yeah.
Here it is. Bridge construction inspection.
Yeah.
right? I wanted to do bridge inspection, but okay, here's bridge construction inspection.
Yeah.
Of course,
Well, cool.
It's slower than shit to load. But anyway, yeah.
All right. Well, that's good. People check that out if you're interested in being a bridge inspector. Neat.
Especially if you're good at drones. You combine the two.
Yeah, maybe.
You just got a lot of bad bridges. We need inspectors. Sorry, go ahead. I apologize.
I was going to wrap it up. Did you want to touch on anything before we go?
I think just the two takeaways. It was, I wouldn't design for age, like 100 years. I would design more for a strategy of making decisions and using Seth's concept. And I'm owing it to him now, in 10 seconds, 10 minutes, blah, blah, blah. And then doing it in years. What is this going to look like in 10, 20 years? 100 years, I can't tell, but maybe 10 years I can. So I'd rather make those decisions. So I would design it more for performance and to last 20 years with zero maintenance dollars. It might be harder to make it last than 100 years.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I appreciate you coming to the show today.
Yes, sir.
Folks, if you're still listening, go to concreteschool.co. That's your free way of getting into the Concrete Logic Academy. So if you made it this far, there's a tidbit for you. All right, folks, until next time, let's keep it concrete.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Concrete Logic Podcast. If you got value from the show, here's how you can provide value back to support the show. Visit concretelogicpodcast.com and click the donate button to send value back. All dollar amounts are truly appreciated. And now, to close out the show, here's Mike Dunton.
That alarm always sings couple hours before the sun comes up. Open up the side, put some diesel in the lights and wait till the trucks roll up. Yeah, this ain't how most folks live their lives, dripping in sweat, working overtime. But while they're tying their ties for their 9 to 5s, we're out here changing these skylines with wood, iron, and mud. We work hard for $1, give thanks to the Lord above. Never make a man do something you can't prove. Hard work calls for a drink or two. Expect more, it's written in our blood. With wood, iron, and mud. From the swamps to the city, from the Lone Star heat to the woods of the Georgia pine. Good old boys and girls who ain't afraid of getting dirty for a clean time. And if you want to see the fire in a grown man's eyes beneath the hot summer sun, find the wild-eyed boys clocking days and nights, working hard to get that job done. With wood, iron, and mud, we work hard for $1, give thanks to the Lord above.